Well, good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County. It's time for Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks here with my co-host, Margie Bradford. Good morning, Margie.
Good morning, Jim.
Well, I see the sunshine outside, and it's good to see sunshine after the rain showers some of us have had.
Yes.
I mean, I think with that last rain we had did pretty much encompass all of Nelson County, but prior to that, I think last week I was coming into town and we had a gully washer in Cox's Creek, and the ground was dry here in town. So
Yep.
the nature of the beast.
That rain out there is helping my lawn grow, and the deer family that's taken up semi-permanent residence in my backyard. They need to have things to munch on, so and they come up and eat my flowers for dessert.
Well, we've got a couple of groundhogs in the barn, and they
I got plenty of those, so too. You know, it's a regular menagerie there, only they're not in a cage.
Yeah. All right. Well, Margie, the November election seems months away, which it is, but you and I are continuing our series of interviews with candidates for office, and because of the number of candidates that will be on the November ballot, we're actually starting this month.
Yes.
And we will continue through the November election.
Yes, we have every single candidate scheduled, except for school board candidates and for city council candidates, and then some of the statewide races.
Right.
But every other set of offices is represented.
Right, and that's not because we don't like school board or city council races, but it's simply there aren't enough Wednesdays between now and November to try to get everybody in.
No, and we are scheduled solid right before the election.
Right. All right. Well, our interview today is with incumbent 4th District Magistrate Jeff Lear. And Jeff is here in the studio with us, and we appreciate you coming in, Jeff.
Thank you all for having me.
Well, I'll tell you, of course, I've known you forever, but for our listeners who may want to know a little bit about your background, tell our listeners a little bit about why. Well, for starters, what made you want to run for office in the first place? What keeps you running for office? And what you feel like you bring to serving the county?
Well, if I knew the answer to some of those questions, I'd probably have my head examined. But no, I spent a lot of time attending some of the city council meetings and some of the fiscal court meetings, and it was pretty interesting to me at the time. When the position came open for 4th District Magistrate, I decided to run. I thought I'd do well at it. I thought I could do I thought I knew what was going on, and it was an opportunity, and I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background, your business background, and what skills you think you bring to serving as magistrate.
Well, I'm president of Bardstown Internet Service. We started the company in 1996, back when we were providing dial-up service to the masses around here.
That was fun. Yes, I remember dial-up service.
Yeah.
I was tickled to have it too.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was the neatest thing I'd ever seen in my life. But we figured out a way to. What it took to do it, and how to get an internet circuit into the city that was feasible. When you start going into these business decisions, you quickly find out why no one else is doing it.
Right.
But we were able to find an affordable circuit and expand from there, and that's been 96 or 26 years. 26-year-old hobby, I guess, is what it's turned into. But my degree is in electrical engineering. I graduated from University of Kentucky in 1989. The only time I'd been away from Kentucky, we moved to Indianapolis, where I worked at the Naval Air Warfare Center there as an electronics engineer. Had the opportunity to see a lot of the world and work with some really, really intelligent people. And this little internet gigs was just a hobby, a weekend hobby for us. And,
Now, was the naval, was that, were you a contractor?
I was a civil servant.
Civil
yeah.
servant, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, you do, that sounds fascinating.
I saw some neat things. From a guy from here in Bardstown that gets to see some of those things, it was very, very exciting for me.
Now I haven't seen one. I don't know, but it just hit me. This of course, isn't political. You all should consider writing a book about kind of the birth of local internet, because you all were so instrumental in it locally and what it took to do it.
I don't think you'd believe most of the stories that we have, but I can assure you they're true. I do remember we were growing so fast we had to get new lines in and add modems. I come in the office one day and they're strung out all over the floor. We got them spread apart with fans on them, trying to keep them alive. And you would not believe some of the things that
being a pioneer is a job, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You can tell everyone's got the arrows in their backs, right?
That's right.
Well,
Jeff, what do you see are the three biggest challenges for fiscal court?
Well, I think what keeps me up at night worrying about is the turnover on fiscal court. I mean, at minimum, we're going to have 2 new magistrates and a new county judge. Potentially could have 5 new magistrates. 5 new members of fiscal court, 4 new magistrates, and that's very concerning.
It is concerning.
I mean, there'd be a lot of institutional knowledge that is no longer there, and I think things could get sideways fairly quickly. And if you think about it, I don't know, Jim, you may know something I don't know, but I don't think there's any county employee right now that's worked for anybody but Dean.
I would say that's right.
So if you think about that, the entire workforce is getting a new boss as well.
Yeah.
And that's not trivial.
No.
So, I've been on court for 12 years. I think I got a pretty good relationship with all the department heads and thing, and I hope that I can ease the transition into this new fiscal court with a little stability, and I think you all would agree that I don't usually jump into things real hard. I make sure I've got the information before we make decisions, and when you got a new leadership and new people, things can get sideways pretty quick, and I think that's
the first big challenge.
That's by far, to me, it is immediate. Second, I would think it'd be the spending of these ARPA funds intelligently. We've got a lot of money coming in from the federal government, from the taxpayers, but through the federal government.
Right.
And we've taken this very seriously as far as what needs to happen. We realize that this is one-time money. This is big projects and things that should be used to do projects that we would not ever get to again. So we're thinking big, looking at the ideas that are going to help the community for a long time. And I think we've got a good skeleton of what we intend to spend these on, and a kind of a rudimentary budget, and filling in those boxes, and they have to be spent by a certain time. So this has to be done correctly, and that's a big concern. We have 4 years to do it, and we're already in the process of it, and I think that's extremely important. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that keeps being mentioned by candidates and interviews we did during the primaries is the concern about the jail and the need for a scanner to try to keep drugs and weapons out of jail. I mean, what's your stance on that? I mean, you think those funds might be able to be used for that, or need to go bigger, thinking about a new jail, or?
I have no idea what a scanner costs, you know, and I think our jailer candidates are, you know, probably up to speed on that. We will have a new jailer. That's another issue that goes back to the fiscal court makeup and, you know, new department heads and things. So that kind of feeds into it. I'm not even sure that those funds could be used for that particular purpose. They are restricted quite a bit.
Now, I know the ARPA funds were kind of like for shovel-ready projects or infrastructure sort of things. But I know that, speaking of the budget and expenses, Judge Watts has warned the court, well, at least publicly in the meetings, time and time again, about the rising costs of operating the jail and the rising cost of subsidizing EMS. And, you know, said that at some point there's going to be a need for more revenue. What and I don't know that need is immediate or if it's years down the road. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, of course, we pretty much need to have a jail, and EMS, and I think the whole reason the county was involved with EMS, as far as subsidizing it and then purchasing it, was to ensure quality service in not just in Bardstown, but in Chaplin and Bloomfield and New Haven. So what are your thoughts on the expenses on those two? I mean, we watched them increase, but, you know, you've towed the line as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, you know, those are concerns. You asked me 3, and I've got 17. Those are among them, okay? But, you know, the increasing costs for EMS in the jail are concerns, you know. A new jail is astronomical money. Do we need one? I don't know. A new jailer would come in. Several of them have looked at the need for them. I've spent some time with Madison County Judge Executive Reagan Taylor. They had a concept of a jail and a rehab and training facility that they had taken all the way to the point of voting on it, and didn't work out.
Just couldn't get the money for it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was a concept that we're going to do a public-private partnership, which I thought was an opportunity to explore. But a new jail is the numbers were eye-popping, you know, to me.
Yeah.
And I think there have been some legislative changes that have reduced the pressure on population. Still pretty high, but it was getting pretty unmanageable there for a while. We have a new jailer, and maybe he'll provide some data and ask some questions about costs and solutions. So for the jail, that's kind of where I'm looking at in the future right now. EMS it's an issue. There are rising costs for that. The workers there are feeling the same pressure that they are for deputies, for sanitation workers, for everywhere you go. There's competition for these jobs, and staffing's an issue, and so is funding. I mean, we're getting a more elderly population. Some of the calls are a little more routine than others, and don't necessarily get paid for them all.
Yeah.
So that money's coming from somewhere. I don't know a solution out of it. We're very fortunate to have the people that are running that particular department. Very fiscally sound, very knowledgeable, very hardworking.
Well, and it's a service that the community wants and needs.
It is, and I don't know if there's a way to do it more efficiently, but I'm telling you, Joe squeezes the nickel pretty hard. And so we are fortunate to have those. Right,
and I think it's important to, if reviewing the EMS operation, I think you almost have to look at the money that EMS, that through their leadership, he and Eva's has saved, as far as including the EMS, the remounts. You know, it's not just go into fiscal court, write us a check for a new ambulance this week, you know. It's not.
Yeah, they beat the bushes pretty hard.
Yes, they do.
And Joe has a lot of contacts, been doing it for a long time, so yeah, we're fortunate there. But the cost is rising just like everything else. But I think your question started with, are we going to have sufficient resources to continue to do these things? Who knows? Right now, I believe we are very fiscally sound. Just looking at the budget, I think I made the comment that when we passed the budget, I think we're in good shape for the next 2 or 3 years. Now, having said that, that's provided things don't change, right?
Right.
Look at our budget already with the price of fuel, how it's gone crazy, and our road department with pipe, asphalt is going. We've approved some roads to be paved, and I'm not sure that they're within budget now. Within a month or so. So there may be some trimming back on some of those things to do. There's a big discussion at the special meeting yesterday about what happens if we lose this distilled spirits tax that they're talking about in Frankfurt. Big questions. All bets are off on that one, but.
Well, our own representative was for it.
Well, I think I think there's a little bit of probably a whole lot of unknowns in this process, but this is not something that just popped up. It's been going on for a while, and over the summer when it looked like this was having some momentum. I spoke quite a bit with both Senator Higdon and Representative McCoy. Both of them assured me that the counties will be made whole. Now, what mechanism is in place to do that, I don't know. I think that's the devil's in the detail. That's the sausage making that is Frankfurt, right?
Right. Well, and the same thing goes for school districts.
Exactly.
School districts, and if that money goes away, they're going to have to replace that money, and where they're going to replace it, they're going to replace it with local money. It's going to be
that's
property tax money.
I'm not extremely concerned, but I am watchful on what's going on there, and that's a big chunk of our budget. And
how much?
About $2 million.
Yeah.
So that's.
County schools get, I think, a little over $2 million.
Right.
I'm not sure what the city schools get, but I know that we always counted on that. When I was a school board member.
When we did some of these IRBs, industrial revenue bonds, to entice some of the warehouses to be here, that we were counting on that. I'm not sure that I would have approved industrial revenue bond for 30 years if we weren't getting these taxes for the
well, exactly.
So it's kind of, and the people that I've talked to at the Kentucky Distillers Association, they understand that. I mean, I don't think there's anything real nefarious here about what's going on, and they recognize what the current situation is, and also what this tax does to kind of hamper.
Well, it's certainly not keeping them from building warehouses and adding new distilleries, so it can't be hurting them too much.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, of course, as part of the IRB process, the county forgives them for all the property tax.
Correct.
So, and then the distilled spirits tax is kind of a way to make up some of that money to the local entities.
Yeah, wouldn't have voted for it if we weren't getting something. My argument is always, look, if we get this industrial, or we get the distilled spirits tax, that comes to us. It costs us nothing. All these things are sprinkled. We don't have to fire protection for them. They do their own security. But do you want that money? Do you want them to move it, 5-10 miles down the road and be in Bullitt County?
Right.
Because they will take it, And so that's always been my logic to it. Plus, it preserves jobs here in the county, and you can make a pretty good business argument for having them here.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jeff, you've been on the court and seen times when. Right now, the city of Bardstown and county government work well together, and there's been a lot of collaboration. But you've seen times when there wasn't so much of that, and there was actual hostility, I think, between some in the city government towards county government. What is it? How important do you think it is that that the local governments cooperate or in more than butt heads?
It's critical. I mean, Jim, it's, let's take, for example, this ARPA money that we're spending on infrastructure. Well, the city has a lot of infrastructure. They have the utilities, they have the water, sewer, they have the internet service, and we'll spend a lot of money on those things. So working in collaboration with them is important to us, and they've been great partners. I mean, it's it's very refreshing to sit down and everybody on the same page. And when you care about your community and work together, you get a lot more done. I mean, the button heads doesn't solve any problems, and we're very fortunate in this area right now to have the relationship we do, because it's very common for counties and cities to not see eye to eye.
Right, right, and I think the project to help the city expand their internet to underserved areas, I think that's a big win for people in those communities, and I think to me that's a really great use of ARPA money. I think to help to partner with the city on that.
I mean, being in the internet business, I've watched this. Watched this argument for quite some time, and it's not that the internet companies don't like people out in the country.
Right.
It's that they can't break even by providing them the service, and it's so this one-time money could put that infrastructure in place. Now they might be able to break even, but they're not going to make a lot of money on it. And there's a lot of maintenance in there. There's ongoing monthly costs. There's things that the general public doesn't really understand. But just because you got a wire out there doesn't mean everything else is free, and it's not. And so kudos to them for stepping up and doing some things that cause them more work without any more money, and because they've been very responsive to expanding out in areas that they don't necessarily make a lot of money off of, but they do it for the good of the community, and so I've always had a good working relationship with them, and I appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that they require a certain number of passes per mile of expansion cable. So, and I think this project allowed them to relax those standards a little bit,
Right.
And that's great. Another project, I don't know if this has been mentioned, Jeff, is, and of course the county has no part of operating any sewer system. But the thing that really, I think, and you may agree, that stymies some housing development is a lack of sewers out in the county.
Right.
But I don't know that if the city couldn't really partner with the county fiscal court really couldn't partner with the city on that unless it was just kind of providing funding.
Yeah. There are some sewer projects that are going to be done in cooperation with the city.
Okay.
And we will fund those, and they'll maintain them. That's, when you own a company, you want to own the infrastructure as well. You don't want to have to rely on someone else that might do something differently than you do. So, they're looking to expand out, and they realize that this city is going to have to grow. And I say the city of Bardstown itself.
Right.
If you look what's going on down in Glendale, with the Ford battery plant.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this crazy amount of jobs, and all the ancillary satellite jobs that are coming. There will be some here in town. I'm fortunate enough to be on the BIDC board at this time, and there's several exciting industry prospects that are coming in that can't really mention, but because they want it that way, not because I want it that way. But so expanding the resources out for residential development is going to be critical in this area in the next 5 to 10 years.
And hopefully affordable.
Yeah, you got to start now. and you can't. If you're going to play catch up, it's not going to be good.
Well, Jeff, you mentioned the battery plant in Hardin County and the spin-off of related, industries to support that. Right now in Nelson County, I think we're really out of industrial park space of any, of any measure. How important it is to you is it for this next fiscal court to really pursue some industrial park property? And now I don't know. I'm sure there's always discussions behind the scenes about this. I'm sure, but if it seems to me if we're going to get on that, going to take advantage of industry looking for space, we need some property for them to consider.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody could see this coming, and it's not. I don't think everybody sees what we're doing to address this. I've been on the Bardstown Industrial Development Corporation board for about a year. Mm-hmm. Every meeting is discussed. We're looking at options everywhere in the county, trying to piece together land in an area that is conducive to having an industrial park. And when you pick those things, you say, well, what does it got? Does it have water, sewer, electric, gas? Gas is extremely important. These are critical infrastructure for the industrial park and very, very expensive to expand. Right. If you pick it in an area and say, well, we'll just build to it, you better bring some more zeros on your calculator because it gets extremely expensive and almost cost prohibitive to sell land.
Right.
Because then you got to buy up all those right of ways and clear it.
We are heavily involved in it, and we've tried many different things, and it's not something that we are just waiting to see what happens. We've been very proactive on this, and that's the city and the county and all the players.
But they work together on this.
Absolutely working together.
Yeah, this is great. Talking again about what subjects have come up with candidates in the primary, a recreational building. A year-round recreational building has always been mentioned, so what would be your views on that? Is this something the city and county do together, and how would you pay for it? And what are your views on that?
Those are the questions that everyone needs to ask. And how would you pay for it? This is not a new issue. It's come up quite a bit. My problem is I can't get anybody to tell me what it's going to cost. All right, and I think it's foolish to make a decision based on what you would like and not be adult enough to figure out how to pay for it. And I feel very confident that we could come up with the capital enough to build any kind of building that we wanted. My concern is going forward, what are the operating costs on it? Because those are the things you're stuck with. You don't get to say, no, I'm not doing it anymore. They're gonna once you build it, you own it. And but those are the things that I can't get answers to. And if someone gets serious about it and wants to do that, then let me know, because we've done feasibility studies that I don't think were feasibility studies. I get, someone's got an idea that it's an indoor pool. Someone else, no, it's going to be this, and somebody put it in a package and tell me what they want and what it's going to cost, and I'm open to discussing anything.
Well, some candidates have mentioned, well, this. We have enough business and industry here. This could be some sort of public-private partnership to fund it, because it would of course benefit the entire community. But again, I see what you're saying. It's great to talk about it, but if you don't have hard numbers and estimates, especially And I think you're right. I think the aquatic center in Lebanon, I think the operation of that center, I think it loses money for the county. And I don't think there's much interest in building something here in Nelson County that's going to, be a burden on taxpayers.
Yeah, that's the question. When you ask somebody, would you like one? Yes. But the real question is, would you like to pay for one? Because you're going to. Somebody's going to pay for it, and it's not going to be an inexpensive venture.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we subsidize all kinds of services. You're not necessarily, you'd like to break even on them, but you're not going to make money on them. So maybe, so many people said our young people don't have things to do where they can, get them off of the street corners and off of their screens. So maybe, is this something that maybe we should subsidize, unless it's so extremely expensive that you can't afford to? But
someone tell me what that number is. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And then you can make an intelligent decision.
Then what would be your feelings on a study of it to
another
come
study?
up with it? Well, something to come up with this figure you're wanting.
To make my point, the first feasibility study that we had on that, I didn't think was a feasibility study. I was very disappointed in the first. The first point that they made in this feasibility study was some astronomical number. 78, 80% of residents polled were interested in a YMCA in the facility. And that was their very first point. But when you got into the details about if it was $10 a month, how much, would you still be interested? $20 a month or $30 a month, well, it dropped off pretty precipitously. So a gauge of interest would be, are you willing to pay for it to me? And, I don't know what that number would be.
Yeah, you first have to find out what it's going to cost.
Exactly. There's a whole lot of unknowns.
All goes back to that.
But it's it's nice to talk about and worth pursuing. I don't mean to diminish it at all. And it's just something that and I think the city's looking at it pretty hard too. So we might have some harder numbers and we can.
Well, that would it'd be doing it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think another question that you ask is someone in New Haven or Cox's Creek, are they going to benefit as much as someone in the middle of town when you build it here? So there's a lot of issues to be considered. So.
All right, Jeff, we need to take a commercial break. You're listening to Bradford and Brooks, and our special guest, Jeff Lear, who's a 4th District Magistrate and seeking re-election in November. We'll be right back after these messages. Please stay tuned. All right, you're back with Bradford and Brooks here on this, it looks like partly cloudy outside here at the WBRT studios on South 3rd Street. Partly cloudy Wednesday, but the rain's holding off, at least here in town. It did sprinkle on me on the way into the studio this morning. All right. Well, Jeff, this might be a question you can help me answer. I had a caller that had a question about where the 4th District is located. What are the boundaries of the 4th District? And I know, of course, it goes out Louisville Road, but it kind of goes out in a V. Yeah.
It's basically a pie-shaped area shaped by 245 and Louisville Road. Okay. And it kind of cuts across at Withrow Court. Does go back a little bit on Murray's Run and that a few places back in there, but of course, the redistricting is happening. If we hadn't had the COVID, it would be a lot different looking than it was.
Yeah.
Redistricting makes all the districts roughly the same population, not size, but population, and that goes every year with the census, or every 10 years with the census. And
so those lines don't stay the same.
They do not. And this one, the 4th District has grown in population quite a bit, so I expect that a lot of it will
People
change.
need to check and see where they are.
Well, Not for this particular election. All right, it usually would be, but the next election
Okay.
there'll be a different district, and
Yeah, they'll redistrict next year, I guess, won't
correct.
they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There are a lot of they didn't have time to get it done with the delayed census results and things. So,
All right, now the callers, they want to know what, if they want to see a map of the districts. I believe you can find that on fiscal courts on the Nelson County government website.
exactly. Yes, there are all the magisterial districts. There's some good maps of the area if you want to see. But yeah,
I think there's a tab on the Nelson County government page with maps, and I think there's one for a road map and also one for the magisterial districts. My only complaint about the magisterial district map is I can't find on there where it numbers what the districts are. It's got the borders and all of them shaded.
okay.
But unless it's in some small print somewhere.
But
But
you
I
can't see here.
I couldn't see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is there a legend on there? The different colors I think are different.
There
ones.
may be, but
I think we have it at fiscal court.
Yeah,
The big
yeah.
one there. I'll take a look. I haven't thought about it. I know where my district is, so it doesn't bother me. If it's there. But,
All right. Well, again, you can go to the Nelson County government website and look under maps, and I think you can find that.
yeah, I'm sure
That
you
there.
can. Yeah.
Jeff, what do you see as the biggest accomplishment during your term in office? What the biggest accomplishment
I
of
don't know
said
if-
fiscal court?
I don't know if it's a single accomplishment, but I think that I've been able to hold people's feet to the fire when it comes to spending. I know that when an issue arises, they know that I'm going to analyze it thoroughly and give my reasons for my vote. And I think that holding people accountable for what they want to spend is something I feel accomplished about. But,
But what accomplishment of the fiscal court during your?
Well, I think one of the big things is industry recruitment. And I mean, when I first came on fiscal court, we had a very empty industrial park and a very large loan on that.
Yeah.
I think everybody is now saying, well, when are we going to get another one? If they look back in history and say, when we sat there,
There was a lot of concern about that.
there was extreme amount of concern on it. When you're holding that bill and you're going, nobody's coming.
And you've got all that acreage empty.
Yep.
And you're spending money to provide infrastructure.
So memories are short. So get the industrial recruitment, and we've worked hard to do that, and we bent over backwards to entice some people to come. And those are hard things, hard decisions to make. When you're looking at traditional land sales, you say, I've got this much in it, and I've got to have this much out of it. But if you factor in some of the taxes, the jobs, the occupational license fees and things, you have to be creative to see that it's better to have people here and the jobs than it is the money for the land. I never thought that fiscal court should ever be in the real estate business. In my personal opinion, I think we own too much as it is. But if you are going to do it, make it for the benefit of the community.
Right.
And so that's I think a pretty big accomplishment over the last 12 years.
Especially if you think back, that's because that always comes to my mind too. How there was so much concern over all that money going into all that empty land.
There was a lot of money. I mean,
And there was a lot of concern that are we ever going to fill it? Well, here we are today.
Well, I mean, there still was some concern, as much as 4 or 5 years ago there was, and it was. There's many times where you're going, what are we going to do with this mess? And but if you look around at what the other communities were doing, became pretty apparent they were bending over backwards to entice these communities, giving them land away. There's some places that even built buildings, so they would have something ready for them. We were asked to even, build a pad for a building, just to have something that they could sell to these industries, and just to cut down the development cost and time frame, more time than anything. A lot of these businesses decisions wanted to have something ready to go quickly. But it's not like it is now. So that's a big sea change, and it didn't come by accident. We worked hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, and this is, we talk about rising cost. The city turned down a change order from a contractor last night. The contractor wanted more money because of the big increase in diesel fuel on all their equipment. And I have never heard of a change order on a project due to the fuel cost.
Yeah.
It's always additional labor and additional material.
Right.
But they turned it down. They said that that's usually not what a change order is about.
Right.
That's the cost of doing business, and that's on the contractor.
Yeah.
But it was a good attempt, I guess.
Yeah.
Good, take a shot and see what happens.
All they can do is say no, right?
Right, but the county government has to deal with those same price increases. I know that they buy at a certain price, but I don't think you get a big discount on fuel. I mean, you kind of ride those price hikes with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big concern. You got labor issues, and you got material issues. Everything's going up. Everybody knows that. One of the things that I really like about our current judge and his budgeting process, we go through it pretty, we scrutinize it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But Dean always felt the need, and I agree with him 100%, to pad those numbers quite a bit. So we built in a cost for an assumption for a cost increase and a usage increase.
Right.
So those things that are in the budget that fluctuate, you need to build yourself a cushion in it. There's always, you don't have to spend it, but if you're preparing for the worst case situation, which all budgets should be, especially government budgets, you need to build in some room where things change, because you're not going to hit that number exact.
Right.
And with one of the differences between a government budget and a business budget is the goal of government is to break even at the end, which I would submit to you is a lot harder than making money, or submitting a budget where you have a profit. You got to work both sides of it. He's had a lot of experience at it, of course, but when I look at some of these numbers, I said, well, that's not going to cost that much. And then you start thinking, what if it does? And so this is one that hit with a lot of the increases, especially in fuel. We use a lot of fuel. Garbage trucks, ambulances, police cars, the road crews, the mowing, they use a lot. So.
Well, Jeff, we've got about 3 minutes left. Question I want to make sure I ask: are you satisfied with the current way that money is distributed for paving among the magistrates? Because I know that's been discussed and it's changed.
I don't. I understand everybody wants their fair share, or whatever the fair share is, but they want an equal share, and I don't know if that's the fair share, because number of roads in the 4th District is quite a bit more than there is in the say the 3rd District, or and it's not like some people they stay in the district in which they live.
Yeah,
they use those roads too.
Sure.
You use roads everywhere. So I hate. I don't like to have the politics and the money in the districts. I think they should go toward need, and I'd be tickled to death if the county engineer made those decisions. but no, I think it should be a portion on road mileage, and a very easy thing to do with modern technology. You can say how much
on how much they are used,
on how much there is. Like if per mile or per square foot of asphalt there. But
But I mean, a road that's highly used is going to break up quicker than one that is less
yeah.
used.
Which typically doesn't happen on a lot of county roads, but those are usually the state roads.
Yeah.
But I understand your point. Very good point. But that's why I think it should be based on need more than anything.
Right.
Because
All right. Time for a brief question. Are you happy with the current meeting schedule for fiscal court?
I'll meet anytime they want to. I mean, when I first ran, I thought the same thing. Judge Watts says they tried them at night, and they were not as well attended as during the day. But I don't know, and if they want to have them at night, they want to have them in Boston, New Haven, Chaplin. Just tell me where and when, I'll be there.
All right. Well, Jeff, that's going to do it. Thank you for your time coming in
Yes,
today.
Thank you all
you.
for having us. These are important.
Good interview.
All right. I've been listening to our interview with Jeff Lear, 4th District Magistrate, who's seeking re-election on the November ballot. Margie and I will be back next Wednesday with another candidate, and if you've got that on your list, you
Yes.
can tell me who we'll have.
Actually, next week we're going to have Mayor Heaton
Oh, that's
and
right.
Tim
Be talking about the
Houston
new
to
park.
talk about the new park.
Hometown Radio, you found it. 1320 AM, 97.1 FM in Bardstown, and 94.9 FM in Lebanon.